Okay, so picture this, like super late, right? And the house is totally silent. You know, that kind of quiet where you can practically hear your own thoughts and you're just kind of lost in this old photo, you know? And then bam, it hits you. That little voice just whispering.
If only.
Yeah, exactly. If only. Like this quiet but like persistent pressure. Ugh, you ever felt that?
Oh, I think we've all been there. Like, it's part of the human experience, isn't it?
Totally. And it's not always some huge thing either. It could be anything, like a friendship that kind of faded away, or maybe you passed on a job offer. Sometimes it's like those words you never actually said, you know?
Yeah, and it can be sneaky, right? This Mind Alchemy video we're diving into, they describe it like a fog. You know how fog just kind of rolls in and suddenly it's everywhere? Regret can be like that. It just sort of creeps up on you.
It does. And that's exactly what we're going to tackle today, regret. Not just the like, oops, shouldn't have done that kind of thing, but the deeper kind, the one that just sits there and hangs over you.
And it's not about just wallowing, right? This is about understanding. Like, what is regret actually true? This Mind Alchemy transcript, it's got some amazing insights, especially from this whole philosophical angle.
So we're basically going on a journey here. First, we're going to get into like the nitty gritty of what regret actually feels like, you know, how it messes with your head.
Right. And then we'll check out these fascinating philosophical ideas, some serious food for thought there. Plus, we got to address the dark side too, you know, when regret takes over and becomes this huge problem. And then, most importantly, we'll talk about how we can start to change our relationship with it.
Okay, so step one, what does regret actually feel? The video we've been studying, it paints such a clear picture. It talks about this if only loop, you know, where you replay past moments over and over in your mind, but with different endings.
Oh yeah, I know that loop. Like a broken record stuck on repeat. And it's brutal because the past is, well, the past. We can twist and turn it all we want in our heads, but it doesn't change what actually happened.
So frustrating, right? And the transcript makes this really interesting distinction between guilt and shame. What's that all about?
So guilt is more about, you know, not doing enough. Like you messed up, you made a mistake. But shame, that goes deeper. It's like you betrayed your own idea of who you should be.
Oof, yeah, I get that. It's not just about the screw up itself. It's about what it says about you, right? And the video talks about this underlying fear that comes with regret. Like you're scared those missed chances will actually define the rest of your life. Like you've blown it and there's no going back.
You hit the nail on the head. It's the fear of a future that's like shrunk somehow, less than it could have been. You know, Mind Alchemy calls regret a thief. It steals your peace. It keeps you up at night. It even affects how you see yourself, like you're trapped in this prison of your own past.
Ooh, that is heavy, but it's so true. Okay, so we're starting to get a grip on what regret feels like. Now, things get really interesting. This transcript delves into some deep philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking Martin Heidegger being towards death. Kind of intimidating, right?
Sounds intense, I know, but it actually makes so much sense when you think about regret. Heidegger's idea, being towards death, it's basically acknowledging that we're not going to live forever. Time's a limited resource.
Right. Like we all have an expiration date, essentially. So how does that connect to regret?
Well, every moment is unique, right? Once it's gone, it's gone. So when you regret something, it hurts like crazy because that specific window of time has slammed shut, like forever. Remember that image of the person looking at the old photo, that lost connection? Heidegger saying the regret's so sharp because that exact chance to be with that person, in that moment, it's vanished.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. It's like the awareness of our limited time makes the pain of regret so much worse. But Heidegger, he doesn't just leave us hanging with that depressing thought, right? The video suggests that regret can also be a signal, like a wake-up call to live a more authentic life. What does that even mean?
Exactly. It's not just about dwelling on the past. That if only feeling, it can actually highlight what truly matters to you. Maybe it's connection, courage, going after your dreams. Regret is like this giant neon sign flashing, hey, this is important to you. Do something about it while you still can.
Okay, I'm digging that. Regret as a compass pointing you in the right direction. Now, the transcript also brings in Jean-Paul Sartre and his idea of radical freedom. How does that fit in?
So Sartre's coming at it from a different angle, but it really complements Heidegger. He's saying we have total freedom in our choices, and that includes choosing to not do something.
So, like, even inaction is a choice.
Exactly. And Sartre's point is regret is a direct result of the choices we make or don't make. Every decision closes off other possibilities. That if only feeling acknowledges those paths not taken. But Sartre would say, own it. You chose this path. It's on you.
Ah, okay. Responsibility. I see where he's going with that. Now, the video uses the simple story about a guy named Daniel. He's sitting in a park, totally regretting not studying abroad.
Can you connect Heidegger and Sartre's ideas to his situation?
Absolutely. So Heidegger would say Daniel's regret is super strong because that time to study abroad, it's gone. That chapter of his life is closed. He can't go back. Sartre, on the other hand, would focus on the choice. Daniel chose to stay home, maybe because he was scared or wanted to play it safe. Now he's stuck in a job he hates, and Sartre would say, yep, that's the consequence of your choice. Own it. But here's the key. Sartre also believes we're always free to make new choices. So Daniel, even though he's bummed about the past, he can still choose to change his future.
It's like, you're never really stuck. You always have the power to do something different. Okay, so we've talked about regret as painful, motivating, and a result of our choice. But the transcript gets real about the dark side. You know, when regret goes from a little whisper to a full-blown scream. How does that happen? That's when those if-onlys take over. It's not just a thought here and there, it's constant. You're replaying those past moments nonstop, and it starts to eat away at you. You feel trapped, like you're living in a graveyard of your past mistakes. And those memories, they're not little nudges anymore. They're like monstrous shadows always looming over you.
Yikes. So basically, you're drowning in regret. The video talks about this feeling of being stuck in a loop, just replaying your mistakes over and over, leading to despair, and this feeling of a life half-lived.
Spot on. And in that state, all those philosophical ideas that were kind of helpful before, they can backfire. Heidegger's being towards death, instead of inspiring you to live fully, it just reminds you of all the time you've wasted. And Sartre's freedom, it feels like a cruel joke. Yeah. You're free to choose, but you feel like you've already blown it.
Man, that is dark. So how do we get out of that pit? When regret feels that heavy, where do you even start?
That's where Albert Camus comes in. His idea, the absurd, it's like a breath of fresh air in that stuffy room of regret. Camus is basically saying life doesn't come with a rule book. There's no preset right path. We just make it up as we go along.
So we're all just winging it, basically.
Pretty much. And a lot of our regret comes from this idea that we should have known better, that there was this perfect way to do things that we somehow missed. But Camus is like, nope, life's messy. Embrace the chaos. And when you accept that, the pressure to have made perfect choices, it starts to lift. Like maybe there was no right answer all along. How freeing is that?
Right. It takes a huge weight off your shoulders. Yeah. So how do those earlier ideas, Heidegger's compass and Sartre's freedom, fit into this whole transformation thing?
Okay, so Camus sets the stage with accept. Now, Heidegger's compass can guide you. Even though life's messy, your regrets can still point you towards what truly matters. They remind you what you value, what you want to fight for. And Sartre's idea of freedom, it reminds you that you can always choose something different right now, even if the past wasn't ideal. The transcript suggests actually doing. Write a letter. Reach out. Take a step, however small, in the direction you want to go.
So action is key. It's not enough to just think about it. And the video has this great exercise. You write a letter to your past self, offering forgiveness, and then you pick one brave thing to do today. Why is that so powerful?
Because it combines self-compassion with action. You're basically saying to your past self, hey, we mess up, but we're learning. It helps you let go of that shame. And then taking action, even a small step, it shifts your focus from the past to the present. You're not just stuck in your head anymore. You're actually doing. It's a way of proving to yourself that you're not defined by your regret.
I love that. Okay, so we've come a long way. We've explored the pain of regret, delved into some pretty deep philosophical ideas, and learned some practical ways to deal with it. The video ends by talking about regret as a guide, not a prison, but a teacher and a scar.
That's such a powerful image. Scars tell a story, right? They're a reminder of what you've been through, how you've healed. And regret can be like that. It's a sign that you've lived, you've made choices, and you've learned from them, even if it was tough.
And it brings us back to those big existential questions, right? Regret is tied to our choices, our freedom, the fact that time keeps ticking, but it also shows us what truly matters. The video uses this metaphor of a cracked vase that can still hold water.
Oh, that's a good one. We might wish our past was perfect, like a pristine vase. But those cracks are regrets. They're part of what makes us unique. And sometimes those cracks are where the most beautiful things grow. It's like accepting our imperfections, even celebrating them.
So even though those if-onlys might still pop up, we have a new way to deal with them, not with self-hate, but with action and understanding.
Exactly. Regret doesn't have to be the enemy. It can be a source of wisdom. It can push us to live better, more intentionally.
Okay, so let's sum this up for you. Regret can feel really heavy. You get caught in those if-only loops, guilt and shame start to creep in. But if we look at it through these philosophical lenses, Heidegger's finite time and call to authenticity, Sartre's radical freedom and responsibility, and Camus' acceptance of life's messiness, regret, can transform into a powerful teacher. It reveals what matters most to you and reminds you that you have the power to make different choices today. Even your deepest regrets, like scars, are part of your unique story, a story of resilience and growth.
And remember, you're not trying to erase regret completely. It's about learning from it, finding the wisdom hidden within the pain, and using those lessons to create a future that truly reflects who you are and what you value.
Here's the final thought we want to leave you with. Knowing what you now know about regret, its power and its potential, what will you do with your one wild and imperfect life, and those lingering If only. The answer isn't out there waiting to be found. It's yours to create. It's yours to live. And that starts right now.